Hey guys, Saki here from SAKITECH and welcome to Ask Saki episode 5 where you guys submit a bunch of questions to me via the YouTube community section and then I pick and answer some of those questions. So in this video we're going to answer approximately 11 to 12 questions for you guys. So let's dive in and get started right away. Now the very first question I want to answer is this one right over here from Hemang. It says, what would be the release date and price for the Note 10? And I'm just going to base my answer on historical data. So historically speaking, most of the time the Note 10s get released around the ballpark of August. So this year the Note 10 is going to be released in the ballpark of August 2019. And of course, as we get some leaks and some insider information, we're going to close in on the exact date. But August sounds about right for the release of this smartphone. Now, as for the price, most likely, now I think you guys know by now that there's going to be 4 Samsung Galaxy Note 10 models. Now, 2 of them are going to be the primary models, and that means they're going to be 4G smartphones. You're going to have a Note 10 regular and a Note 10 Pro, and most people are going to most likely buy the Note 10 Pro. Then you have the regular Note 5G and the Note 10 5G. So I'm gonna give my price estimate for the Note 10 Pro 4G, okay? So that's most likely gonna be $1,000 to get you started, probably for a 128 gigabyte model. Now again, these are estimates, but I'm giving you a ballpark. It's not gonna be too much below or above these numbers. So let's move on to the next question. Okay, the next question comes from Nathan. He's asking, do you think that the Note 10 or the S11 will have hidden camera and graphene battery or some later device? Now the Note 10 and the Samsung Galaxy S11 most likely are not going to have a hidden camera or a graphene battery, but we can look beyond those. So maybe the Note 12 and the S12 might have those features. Now S11 is going to be an iterative upgrade over the S10. Now S10 is a brand new model, so it's a newer model than the S9. Now S9 and S8 were in the same class. Then you're going to have S10 and S11 in the same class, just like the iPhone 10 and the XS, right? So the Samsung Galaxy S11 is going to have upgrades, but it's not going to be anything major. It's still going to have a punch hole display. Most likely, remember, these are estimates based on me covering these phones for 10 years now. And based on that, I'm assuming that the S12 and the Note 12 are going to be the phones that are going to give us some major differences than what we have right now, which is the S10. So that's that. Let's move on to the next question. The next question comes from DSP Plays A9 channel. The question is, had Samsung fixed the S10 Plus overheating and battery drain issues? Now, these issues most likely were very isolated because, I have 3 Samsung Galaxy S10s and none of them have this overheating or battery drain problem. Now, if you guys do have a response to this, maybe in an article, you can drop a link down below in the comments section so I can go check it out. But as far as I know, even if this thing existed, it was a very isolated event. And my S10s and many of the people that I know that use the S10s have no problems with overheating or any kind of battery drain issues. As a matter of fact, the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, which is my daily driver right now, probably has one of the best battery lives I've ever experienced on a smartphone. It just gives me a full solid day of use, and then I don't even have to charge it for half of the next day sometimes. All right, so it's a very good battery capacity on this thing, and there's no drain unless you enable features like the always on display and have it on all the time. Then it's going to drain battery. Okay, but if you don't enable those fancy features, and if you just have your phone turned off just like this when the power button is pressed, it's not going to drain battery. It's very well managed. So the next question is from Hamza. He's saying, I have a question about the battery. If Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus has a humongous battery, then why does the Note 7's battery explode? And basically the answer to that question is the Note 7's battery, Samsung did not do probably the required quality check of a battery under stress. Okay, so ever since the Note 7, Samsung is now putting all their smartphones with the highest battery capacities under extreme battery stress tests to make sure it doesn't explode, it doesn't catch fire, it doesn't overheat, and stuff like that. Now there's phones outside in the Android world that actually have 10,000 or more milliamp hours of battery, such as the Blackview smartphones. And they have no, they're not going to explode, okay? Having a higher capacity doesn't mean the battery is going to go crazy. You just have to make sure that you put the phone through proper battery stress tests to make sure it doesn't overheat, doesn't catch fire, and hence doesn't have the propensity to explode. So that's the answer to your question. The next question comes from Marie Wallace. So she's asking, do you think the Note 10 will get a whole new S Pen redesign? The answer to that question is no. We have seen some crazy concepts where we saw that the camera might be hidden, the front-facing camera might actually be hidden on the actual S Pen so as to have an all-screen display, but that's not the case. That's just a concept. Right now, the Note 10 historically, just like historically, has been based on its previous S models. This Note 10 is going to be based on S10, all right? So you're going to get the same exact form factor with slight variations. And of course, you're going to get the S Pen, you're going to get a larger display, a larger battery. But these are just basic enhancements you get with the Note series of smartphones. But they're not going to be any major redesigns, especially on the S Pen. Next question comes from Taufik. The question is the Note 10 have iris or face scanner? If yes, can it be more secure than the S10 series? Answer to that question is no. There's not going to be an iris scanner. The iris scanner for now has been gone, okay? You're going to get the punch hole display, and in the punch hole display, you are going to have a face scanner, but it's not going to be a 3D face scanner like the iPhone. It's going to be, or the LG G8. It's going to be a regular 2D face scanner that is not secure at all. So no changes there. Now we're not sure what's going to happen in the future, but this is just about the the Note 10, okay? No iris scanner, regular two-dimensional face scanner. That's it. All right, so the next question comes from Bharat Gaming. SAKITECH, do you think Samsung under-display camera tech will be available by 2020? So Samsung is actually working on under-display technology, such as the fingerprint scanner, but they also want to put everything else under the display, including the front-facing camera and many other things. So these are known as under-display or behind-the-display sensors. And he's asking, is it going to be available by 2020? The answer to that question most likely is a no for now, especially the under-display camera tech, because as you can see, the punch hole design is going to be going forward to the S11. Most likely it's not going to happen in 2020. 2021 might be possible, but I'm thinking a little bit beyond that. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, the next question comes from Tech Boy. Will Samsung ever get the hint that the Bixby button is worthless and no one likes it, but it still exists? Yes, I know you can remap it and disable it and all that stuff. You can read the entire question. I don't know. They might let it go, or they might actually enhance the customization capabilities of the Bixby button, because right now, yes, you can customize the Bixby button using Samsung's own software, but it doesn't allow you to remap to Google Assistant. You have to download apps and do other things for that. When Bixby was first released, I loved it. It allowed you to control every aspect of your smartphone. So you could say, launch the gallery, edit a photo, and apply this filter onto the photo, and it would actually do that without you having to touch the screen. Or you could have said, go to the settings, go into display, change the resolution to full high definition plus. It would actually listen to you and do all that. It was very specific. You could even say, launch the camera, go into the settings, change it from 1080p to 4K, and then take a photo or record a video, right? And it would all happen hands-free. But now they have changed that Bixby to something more like Siri and Google Assistant, where you're supposed to talk to it and get natural conversation. It's just not working very well. So I'm not a big fan of Bixby anymore. I don't think they're going to let it go, though. They've been working on this for too long. If they let it go, that's great. They did let the iris scanner go, even though the iris scanner was much more useful. But if they let it go, great. But if they're not going to let it go and they're going to keep working it, tweaking it, making it better, that's great. But maybe they should give us in-house, on-device access to fully customize the button. That is not advisable, since Bixby is not as good as it used to be in the very beginning. Now, one more question comes from Broken Unicorn. The question is, does an Android phone really slow down considerably after, let's say, 2 years of use? How is a 2-year-old Android flagship compared to 2 years old iPhone? And I'll give you the answer let's be very clear about this. So if you go back all the way, I'm going to use Samsung and iPhone as an example. If you go all the way to the Samsung Galaxy S6, S7, then that's actually a problem. After 2 years, those phones do misbehave a little bit. They slow down, they get laggy. Again, let's be very clear, that's S6 and S7 in that range. Now, when you step into the S8, S9, S10, that is not an issue, because I have an S8 for my wife, and she's been using it consistently for the last full year with no slowdowns, no lag. She loves it and she thinks it's a flagship product. It's still got that amazing build quality. It's still got the curved design. It's still got a fast processor. It's still got a lot of RAM. There is zero lag on that phone. It's got the latest software update to One UI, so it's working great. In the past, the iPhones in this respect were much better than Android smartphones in general. They barely lagged. They remained smooth and consistent over time with all the software updates. But ever since the last few years, Android phones have fixed this problem. My father was using a LG V10, and also now he's using an LG G6. None of those phones were giving him any problem as far as lag is concerned. They're not heavy-duty users. If you're a heavy-duty user and you're abusing your phone, you're going to questionable websites, you might get some trouble. But for the average consumer, a 2-year-old Android flagship now is going to be no problem. And I anticipate with my wife, for example, that the S8 is going to last her another 1 or 2 years without giving any software problems. Okay, so that's the answer to your question. And that was the last question I wanted to answer in this segment here. If you do guys have more questions, comments, just drop them down below. If you want to expand on some of my answers to some of the questions that were submitted here, you can do that down below as well. And of course, just stay tuned for the next episode of Saki, Ask Saki, which is going to be number 6. I'll announce when I'm going to post that, and also put a post on the YouTube community section for you guys to submit questions. But for now, guys, have a fantastic day, all right?